Welcome back to Computer Science Cafe. In this video we will have a look at two-dimensional arrays in Python and using methods to neatly print the content of the arrays. Let's get coding. Looking at 2D arrays, if I compare this to a single dimensional array, I've got a normal list here, and this list has two attributes. We've got attributes for Dave and we've got attributes for Jane. So normally if I wanted to print, for example, the details here of Dave, I could do students 1D, which is the name of the list, elements 0 to 3, and then run this, and this will print Dave's information here. So I've got information for two students, one for Dave, one for Jane. Now I could split these up into lists of their own. So if I do, for example, put Dave inside his own list, and then put Jane inside a list which just contains the details of Jane, I now have a list for Dave, and this list is now in the main list position 0, and this list is now in the students 1D list position 1. So Dave, for example, is in position 1, which Dave's list is in position 0 of the main list. So let's have a look how this would work. If I now do print students 1D, in fact I'll call this 2D now because we're now in a two-dimensional list. So students 2D, and then I want to print the elements of Dave, so I can simply just say, well, print position 0 of the 2D list, which contains the list of Dave's attributes. And here we go. And the same for Jane. If I wanted to print Jane, I could do the first position, and then we print Jane's attributes. Okay, before I go on to the next example, if this list was a lot longer, then it would go off my screen and it just gets difficult to see what's going on. So actually it is quite fine to put further elements of a list onto other lines. So for example, I have the comma here, and then if I just press enter and just make sure that the indentation is correct, in this case just one tab space is fine, then this list will work absolutely fine as it is. Okay, I'm going to copy in another list which has more details, which will highlight the reason for this. Now the list I'm copying here is for the Constructors Championships of the Formula 1, and I will use this for the next few examples. So here I've created a two-dimensional list or two-dimensional array called Constructors, and here I open the Constructors list and here I close it. Then within that I have 10 embedded lists of each team and their drivers. Okay, so if I want to, for example, print the first element, again, let's do the same as we did with the students name list, and I can just do constructors, and here we can see that we print that first element within that first embedded list within the main list. If I want to print just Hamilton, for example, now I know Hamilton is in the list which is in list position 0 of the constructors list, and I know Hamilton is in position 3 of that list. So I can now add another criterion. So if I say print the constructors list position 0, and then within that list position 3, so that will print from this list position 3, which is Hamilton. And there we have it, we've printed Hamilton. let's say I want to print an array. So I want to print the 2 Mercedes drivers. Then I can do, if I just copy this, I can say print from position 3 to position 4. Now, okay, 2 to 1 is in position 4, but if we remember using a range within the list, it's up to the last number, not including. So this should print the 2 Mercedes drivers. Okay, cool. Next, let's see if we can print the top 3 teams from this list. So to do this, if I create a for loop, before I start, I'll just comment these out. And then if I say for I in range of 3, because we'll print the top 3 teams, and then within that I can say print, if I can spell print, and then let's make this neat, position followed by the string of the constructors list. And then if I pass in the value of I, the first time this loop's value I will be 0, the second time will be 1, the third time it will be 2, hence printing the 0, 1 and 2 indexes from this list. Okay, then I want to print the whole of the list. So I can say here, if we start from position 0, and then if I leave this last bit blank here, it will just go to the end of the list. Wrong bracket, sorry. I need to close 2 brackets here. And then just to make this a little bit neater, let's just put a comment before so we can see what we're printing. So for example, I can say the current top 3 teams are, and then followed by hopefully the top 3 teams printed in that for loop. So the current top 3 teams are, and okay, they printed. So that's good. These are still printed within list format. So I will do one more thing, which actually takes them out of list format by printing them element by element. Okay, so I will comment all of this out. And then this time I will print the drivers for the top 3 teams. So let's say I do another for loop for I in range. So hopefully I'm going to print what team has what drivers for the top 3 teams. For I in range of 3, and then I can say print team plus constructors, and then position I, and then the first driver, sorry, here I'm looking at the team, so team Mercedes, for example. So Mercedes or Red Bull, etc., they're in position 1, so print position 1. And then plus, I'm going to go on to the next line here, just because I know I'll go off the edge of the screen. So I can then say plus the drivers are, and then I want to bring in the drivers, or at least the first driver. So the first driver is in constructors position 2, so I can copy this and I can say constructors, this time position 2, plus, and then on the next line I can say and space, and then if I paste again, and then this time position 3. I think I need to close one more bracket here. Yes, I do. And now hopefully this will print which drivers are on which of the top 3 teams. Okay, so here we can see that the team Mercedes drivers, the Red Bull and the Racing Point drivers are printed in a nice, neat print statement. So a few things from this task here, looking at 2-dimensional arrays, looking at the value of separating lists within lists, and then looking at printing elements from the 2-dimensional arrays. I hope you found this video useful. Please visit the website for more help and information, and please like and subscribe.